I believe Bitcoin is going to see some aggressive volatility return to this market relatively soon. And for those of you who were watching my video yesterday, you'll know that on this daily chart, I was pointing out this potential double bottom here. And we did get a fairly nice one, in my opinion. The fact that we had this bullish RSI divergence on the daily lining up with this green support box that I've outlined. The oscillator 5 is calling for a potential reversal in the market, and as well the Algo 3 indicator is lining up saying the same thing with that. So we are seeing a fairly nice little bit of confluence in the charts here, saying that we could be seeing some relief fairly soon for the bulls. Before I get my hopes up though, there are a few things that I want to point out just to be cautious of. One is I was really hoping that today's candle would have been a little bit more explosive. This is quite a weak reaction from this double bottom, so that is a little alarming in my opinion. I wanted to see us kind of get above this little bit of resistance just that we just dropped from. I would love to have seen Bitcoin get back above this level and then reclaim this resistance as support and then start trending higher. So the fact that this is looking like a fairly weak daily candle that's about to close, that's not looking super bullish in my opinion. But obviously this can still play out quite nicely. I mean, I was calling for us to pull back and basically touch my green box again, and we got very close to that level again. So that's good to see that that's still playing out. Another thing I want to point out is if we do end up getting a fairly decent bounce here, is we are in a strong downtrend. Since we set our all-time high around 69,000 back in November, I mean, you can't argue that fact. This is a very strong downtrend. That's just all we can really say about it. So the trend is your friend until the end, and you're only going to get one reversal, whereas continuation patterns happen over and over. So obviously that is in favor of the bears right now. If we were to get a bounce here, also, you guys who have been following along on my channel know that I love 3 touch point trend lines. So this trend line goes from our all-time high. We ended up having this little cluster here that we got rejected at, and we haven't got that third touch point yet. So I think if we end up touching this resistance line a third time, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a bit of a rejection again. And that's not to say that this is going to absolutely crush the market and we're going to end up dumping straight down to 10K or anything like that. It's also possible that we just get a little bit of a tap, come down just a little bit, and then push through and kind of start respecting this resistance as a support flip and then trending higher from there. That would be absolutely beautiful. I don't know how likely that is. I think what's more likely is if we break this level, we end up coming back down and kind of retesting down to these levels, maybe right back into my box. But as long as we would get above this purple downward trend line and flip that resistance into support, even if we trend down along it, I would still be quite bullish, just getting that proper support flip. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens. Obviously, we could, like I said, we're seeing a little bit of weakness just from this reaction from the bulls. So I mean, it's absolutely possible that we just dump through this box and flip it into resistance, and then we could be seeing prices quite a bit lower. But we're gonna have to see what happens here. If I flip over to the 4-hour chart also, I'm just gonna flip on the Algo 3 indicator. You can see that we are still just having a hard time flipping this trend line, this moving average of this indicator into support. We're still really struggling at it as resistance currently. So, I mean, that's also in favor of the bears right now. This indicator may end up pushing us back down into this green box, but we're going to have to see what happens. Same with on the daily chart. Even if we do get a nice little pump, we do have this resistance up here. Not only that, but it's lining up with this structure back here. So Bitcoin, no matter what happens here, if we do get a nice little rally, there's no denying that Bitcoin has a ton of resistance up ahead. It's not going to be smooth sailing by any means. It's probably going to be very choppy. So, I mean, obviously practice bankroll management and just really be cautious, you guys, because I think this market could go either way. That being said, guys, even if we do end up dumping here, I just think that this has been a great accumulation zone. Anytime we get near this green box, absolutely a good time to spot buy, in my opinion. Even if a leverage position doesn't work out and we end up dumping, even if we dump all the way down to 10K, I'm more than comfortable spot buying at these levels. Just you see a lot of people on social media lately who are saying that there's no way they're spot buying at these levels. They're waiting for way cheaper prices. I remember before we started our last bull run where people were waiting for a CME gap to fill and it never filled by like $50 or something like that. And people honestly held off on accumulating for that reason. And they missed, well, obviously a good chunk of the bull market. They probably FOMO'd in at the end and got wrecked. But that's just something to be aware of, guys. This is just me personally, obviously not financial advice, but I'm more than comfortable spot buying at these levels, and I will continue to do so all the way down towards 10K if we end up being that lucky. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people because everyone just wants a straight moonshot with anything they invest in. I would absolutely love the idea of buying Bitcoin at cheaper levels. One of the reasons why I don't think we're going to get this dump to the downside is I just don't think that I'm lucky enough to get those prices again, so we're going to have to see. But yeah, those are a few things that I'm kind of looking out for, watching with this trend right now. If I really zoom into the 15-minute here, I'm just watching this upward sloping trend line. I think that if we ended up touching this a third time and then dumping this line, we would end up flipping this kind of to resistance and we may end up dropping a little lower from there. I am really hoping that we stay above my purple line, and that would be my that would be the same as this green box, just on another chart, but it's my daily double bottom area. I would really love to stay above that. And another reason for that is obviously this is a very micro time frame, but since we set this high here and our next high here, this was our low between those prices. So I really want to see this low hold. I don't want to set a lower low than that. Otherwise, I think this trend may end up just going down a little lower. If we are to lose support and kind of drop those levels, I think it makes sense that we start targeting some lower Fibonacci levels. You guys know how I feel about the 618 and 786 fibs, specifically the 786. I think there's a good chance that if we drop this support, we end up kind of testing back down to those levels around 18.7K. But once again, we're going to have to see what happens because the charts can change very drastically, especially with how volatile things have been recently. I mean, anything can happen. But yeah, that's obviously a very micro, just theory, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't really like that we're seeing a bit of a double top at these levels. And on top of that, we are getting a bearish divergence on the RSI. You can see where we set our highs here and where we got our second top here. You can see that there was a clear bearish divergence there. So yeah, it's absolutely possible that we end up dumping a little bit. Again, hoping that we hold this bottom around, well, just below 19K basically. But ideally more so above this purple line. And again, that would be this double bottom territory. I don't really want to see us end up engulfing the progress we made yesterday. If we end up dumping back below that, I mean, panic could set into this market very quickly. I mean, it's no secret that people are very on edge right now. Everyone's nervous. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. Emotions are running high. There's a lot of fear in the market. So, I mean, absolutely, there's probably a lot of people with stop losses right below this wick here. Below my green box. So I think if those lows get dropped, I mean, there could just be an absolute face melting waterfall that drops just from pure panic. But yeah, we're obviously gonna have to wait and see what happens here. This is a daily chart, so these things could take a little while to play out. But again, like I said, we have some bullish things lining up on the daily chart here. Once again, the Algo 3, the Oscillator 5, and the RSI all hinting at the possibility for a bullish reversal here. So that is good to see that the bulls are at least alive. Something else interesting I wanted to point out is this Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. So this is versus Bitcoin, not against the US dollar. Speaking of 3 touch points on a trend line, I mean, this goes all the way back to 2018. Where Ethereum was up here versus Bitcoin, got our second touch point here, recently got our third touch point. This isn't very evenly spaced out, so I don't know how much I like this trend line. It's a little messy at best, but that being said, it is 3 spread out touch points. This is a weekly chart, so this is quite a long trend line. The fact that on the weekly we're getting a long signal here, and we are, well, I mean, there's a few days left of this candle here, but so far we are breaking out from this line. Ethereum might be ready to go for quite a run. And I know that the Ethereum merge, I believe it's happening in 6 days or something like that, sometime in the next week. I don't know how that's going to affect the markets because I'm not much of a fundamental guy. The way I see it, there is going to be articles ready for either direction that Ethereum goes after the merge happens. If this is a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of an event, and it absolutely dumps off a cliff after the merge happens, the media is going to be all over it saying that it's because of the merge. Whereas if it absolutely explodes and we see maybe that's a catalyst that the crypto market needs to start carrying on to the upside, then we're going to see that be the reason for that as well. I believe personally anyways that either way Ethereum goes after the merge, it's going to be due to the merge as far as the media is concerned. That being said, guys, I don't think I have a whole lot else I wanted to talk about today. I might go further into detail with Ethereum another day. I haven't looked at it too much recently, but I just thought that was interesting. As well, if I go to the daily chart, and again, this is versus Bitcoin, but it also did get a long signal here. It even tried to flip short, but it very quickly reversed into a long signal. So there's no doubt about it. The bulls are at least showing signs of life for Ethereum here. And I believe if Ethereum's doing well, Bitcoin's most likely also going to be doing well. Usually the markets move together, so there is that. Anyways, guys, I think that's about all I have to say. If you did appreciate this content, please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, leave a comment. I'm a very small channel. I notice absolutely everything about it. Anyone that subscribes or comments or likes, I notice it all. So, and it's very much appreciated, you guys. Just one other thing I want to point out quick before I take off here on the 15-minute. You'll notice I do have this little bit of a yellow box outlined here that we're flirting with right now. I don't know how significant it's going to be. Again, it's a very micro time frame, but this was just an interesting little kill zone where we're testing this area as support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, and support once again. So it's obviously a fairly important pivotal point in the market, even though these are small moves. It's just obviously a level of interest, and yeah, it's just worth watching, I guess, if you're into the degenerate snipes like myself. So yeah, that's about the last thing I want to point out. Once again, if you appreciate it, smash that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. With that, my friends, stay safe. Peace.